Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So welcome everybody for our daily study of the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, chapter 43, which is the fight between Krishna and Kuvalaya pit, the elephant. And it's beginning with text number 5. There we go. Evam nirbhashitom bhashta kupita kopitam gajam chodayam asa krishnaya kalantaka yamopamam. Thus threatened, the elephant keeper became angry, goaded his furious elephant, who appeared to be equal to time, death, and Yamaraj, into attacking the Lord Krishna. So now the fight has begun. Krishna has heard some nice music and sounds coming from the wrestling arena, and in a very childlike mood, he's wondering, "Oh, what's going on over there? Let's go see what's going on." And as he approaches the arena, this enormous, extremely powerful elephant, along with its elephant keeper, is there blocking his path. And Krishna says, "Move out of my way, or I will take you to the abode of Yamaraj. Move out of the way, please, sir." And the fight begins to ensue. One second. So, little note here. So there's in our Rupanuga tradition, Srila Prabhupada, he gives many spoiler alerts in the purports, in the translations, and then we'll find at the end, we'll find that there's no spoilers ahead. We'll have a little bit of both. So why? Sometimes devotees, when they're starting to read Srila Prabhupada's books, they're like, wait a minute, why is he inserting Krishna here? It doesn't seem like it's talking about maybe karma yoga. Why is it saying karma but bhakti? Or why is he saying Krishna here? Doesn't it say Brahman? Why is it seemingly always bhakti, Krishna? And so, tell you a little story. 1997, March 27th, there was the biggest airline accident that ever took place. There was 583 passengers killed. And this was Pan Am and KLM. Pan Am's plane was just landed, and it was taxiing on the airport. And then you had KLM was there. And there was a lot of miscommunication due to unclear speech. There was the traffic control in their tower. It was foggy, so things could not be seen. So the traffic control, there was a question that was given, and the answer was replied, "Okay, sir." And because of this "okay," both planes started to take off towards each other, tax down the airport towards each other, and they clipped each other. The fuselage was hit, and pretty much every single person died. 583 people, and it was 2 747, so this is humongous planes, and this is because the communication wasn't very clear, and so now ever since then. The thing about plane accidents is as soon as there's any type of plane accident, everything actually becomes more safe. They become very concerned, and the rules, the investigation, the oversight, all that increases. And so after this point, the whole standardization of how the traffic control, how the airplanes communicate had had completely changed. There's no saying, okay, yeah, that's good, because there's a lot of room for mistakes, and this, as you see, deadly mistakes. And so Srila Prabhupada in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, when he translates, although it's not clear into later chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, it's not very clear that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God and unto whom one should fully surrender to in absolute love and devotion. That becomes more clear in later chapters of Bhagavad Gita. But if you're reading Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, in the verses and the purports, it becomes very clear very quickly. Why? Because if you don't understand it, it can be a deadly mistake. And so, speaking about deadly, we are in the section of the Bhagavatam. It's quite violent. Why is this all this violence? Is Krishna's going to fight this elephant, and then he's going to rip out its tusk and walk around the neighborhood of Mathura with his tusk on his shoulder, him and Balaram. And if we look in Goloka, in the spiritual world, there's actually no violence. There's some play, but there is no bloody violence. This is only when Krishna is in this material world. So sometimes violence is there, like the surgeon. The surgeon must cut, and that cut is violence, but it's actually to purify, to heal the situation. So, as we said here, that the clarifying the position of Krishna is necessary. Otherwise, there is a very, very good chance of making a deadly mistake. And so this point is made by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, by Shukadev Goswami, and Srila Prabhupada in the last verse of the 7th chapter of the 2nd canto. And so I'll read the verse. Mayanam varnayat yato musha ishwarasya amoditaha shrinvata pradaya nityam mayatma namuhyati. And so Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur translates it as, if the jiva constantly describes Maya, if the jiva constantly describes Maya in relation to the Lord, and remembers Maya, and hears about Maya with proper faith, he will not be bewildered by Maya. If the jiva constantly describes Maya in relation to the Lord, remembers Maya, hears about Maya with proper faith, he will not be bewildered by the Lord. And this is the Prabhupada's translation. The Lord's activities in association with his different energies should be described, appreciated, and heard in accordance to the teachings of the Supreme Lord. If this is done regularly with devotion and respect, one is sure to get out of the illusory energy of the Lord. And so what faith? It says to hear about Maya with faith. He should have faith that even the Maya Shakti, along with her expansion as the Mahatattva and other elements, is a devotee of great devotion. That is what Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says. So Prabhupada and Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur write a nice purport, and they describe that when Krishna appears in this world, he appears in two kinds of lila, the external lila and the internal lila. The external lila means he's interacting with his external energy. And then the internal lila is he's interacting with his internal energy. And if we do not understand Krishna's interaction with his external energy, then we will not be able to appreciate his interaction with his internal energy. His lila with his friend, with the gopis. And maybe this is all just some exaggeration. How is he? Maybe he is not that powerful. Maybe he is not that nice. Maybe he is not that beautiful. Maybe it is all just an exaggeration. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, in his purport to Brahma Samhita, he describes that there's a natural section that happens in Brahma Samhita. First, you have of just a few verses that glorify Krishna, and they glorify his pastimes. He's carrying the flute, Venum Kwanantamaravinda Taksham Bharhavatam, with a peacock feather. And Krishna's name and pastimes are indicated in the first various verses. But then doubts must be cleared. What is his position of Krishna? How is he? How is this just an exaggeration? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. What does he write? Let's see. Text 32. For what want of a taste of things spiritual, a grave doubt arises in the mind for those who are enchanted by worldly knowledge. On hearing a narration of the pastimes of Krishna, they think that the truth, tattva, regarding Krishna is a mental concoction of certain learned scholars. Maybe these Vaishnava brahmanas are just becoming a little excited, created by their imaginary brains out of material drawn from mundane principles, with the object of removing this doubt, harmful doubt. Brahma, in this and the following 3 shlokas, after distinguishing between 2 things, spirit and matter, in a rational manner, has tried to make one understand the pure Leela of Krishna, obtained by his unmixed ecstatic trance. And so then Brahma continues. He says, Angyani yasa sakalendriya vritti manti pashanti panti kalayanti chiram jaganti ananda chinmaya sad ujval vigrahasya govindamadi purusha tambaham bhajami. So Angyani, Krishna's angas, his limbs, his senses, indriya, can perform all the activities of the other limbs. So he can taste by his sight, he can smell by hearing, he can impregnate just by watching, as it's indicated earlier in the Brahma Samhita. He impregnated the Mahatattva by his glance, and thus it became Pradhan. What else he says? All the functions of the senses, the organs, and he maintains infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane. So yes, he can throw an elephant if he can manifest infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane. Advaitam achyutam anantam anadim anantarupam adyam purana purusham navayovanam cha vedesha durlabam adurlabam atma bhakto govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. He is a being that has no equal, advaitam, no second. Achyutam, he never fails. Anadim, he has no origin. Anantarupam, he has unlimited forms. Adyam Purana Purusham, he is the oldest, original person. Purana Purusham, Purusham also means he is the controller of this Prakriti. Adyam Purana Purusham, but he is ever youthful. So is this just an exaggeration? How he's beautiful? No, he's describing that he is an exceptional being. That is, although the oldest, he is ever youthful. Vedesha Durlabam, Adurlabam Atma Bhakto. By the Vedas, he is very difficult, Durlabam, very difficult to understand and attain, but he's understood by pure devotion. This is the Supreme Lord I worship. And he continues. Panthastukoti shata svatsara sampragamyo vayuratapi manaso muni pungavanam. Sopyasta yat prapada simni avichinta tatve govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So he describes the jnanis and the yogis, which are also described earlier in the Brahma Samhita, that they may practice the pranayama, they may go through the process of elimination for millions and millions of years with the hope of just tapping into the tip of his toenail. Possibly, but often prevented in this endeavor. Without the element of devotion, no chance. Ekyopasarachatam jagat anda kotim yat shakta asti jagat anda chayat charantaha andantarasta paramanu chayantarastam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So he's an undifferentiated entity, which there's no distinction between the potency and the possessor thereof. So you have the fire on one side of the room, and the heat is felt on the other side of the room. So the Shaktiman, the fire is a chemical reaction, is a combustion that's happening, but the heat, which is a reaction, but it's not necessarily there's combustion taking place. It is that energy is felt on the other side of the room. So the fire and the heat are two different things, but they're one. They cannot be separated. Without the fire, there is no heat. So Krishna is one and different from his energy. So he's an undifferentiated entity. And then this verse is quite interesting in saying, in his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist within him. So if you go inside of Krishna, if he opens his mouth, what do you see? What do you see?
The universal form.
You see all the universes. They all exist within him. And he's present in his fullness in every one of the atoms scattered throughout the universe. So if you can go inside of the atom, what do you see?
Krishna.
Krishna. And you go inside of Krishna, what will you see?
All the atoms of the universe.
All the universe is full of atoms. And then you go inside one of those atoms, what do you see?
Krishna.
So it's just, it's a infinite, completely going on. You go inside the atoms, Krishna. Go inside the Krishna, the universe is full of atoms. He's in his fullness, and every one of the atoms scattered throughout the universe at the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore, Brahma is saying. He's taking great pride in the Lord. We don't take pride in ourselves. We take pride in the Lord. So these clarifications are given so we understand Krishna is not an ordinary being. These are not just exaggerations. We're going to see how he is dealing with this bull elephant with great power. This elephant was gifted to Kamsa. Kamsa, previously, let's hear a little bit about Kamsa. So in the Garga Samhita, Canto 1, Chapter 6, it describes Kamsa's strength. It's something that might elude us, that is actually Kamsa is, because he is dealt so swiftly by Krishna, that we might not understand the great might and power of Kamsa. So Kamsa was Kalanemi in his past life. He was killed, and then he was brought back by the Sanjivani. And then he performed austerities by drinking durva grass. Like we sometimes, those who are in health, they might practice the austerities of drinking wheatgrass juice. So he was a durva grass juice drinker and a Brahma worshiper. And he was doing austerities like Hiranyakashipu to the point where his body became an anthill, eaten away, all the flesh eaten away. And so he approached different personalities. He approached, let's see, first he fought the elephant. Kamsa fought this elephant. This elephant came from Jarasanda's camp. And he threw it to the ground, and then he threw it 80 miles away. Now, Kamsa's Krishna and the people that appear in Krishna's Leela are not ordinary. These are very powerful beings. We find it actually quite common in India, quite common in the Hindu community, because of often due to the so many years of rule, especially by the British, who didn't do just a physical takeover of the land, but intellectual takeover of the minds and hearts of society. That people in India use words like mythology, and many of them believe that these are just exaggerations. Mahabharata. Many people who love to go to temples, who do puja regularly, who sing bhajans, think that these pastimes, these descriptions are quite just exaggerations. So these clarification of that's why Brahma, he spoke these verses to clarify. So Kamsa threw Kuvalayapid 80 miles away. And Jarasandha, he threw him back to Jarasandha's camp. He had fled from Jarasandha's camp on a rampage. Actually, a rampaging elephant they're very hard to, they do not become appeased. I was in Hawaii. I grew up in Hawaii, and there was a famous circus elephant who was mistreated. And at one point, he snapped and he went on a rampage, and he threw and he killed the elephant trainer who was abusing him. And then he came out into the streets. He was going down the streets of Waikiki, chasing people, knocking cars over, and the police came and shot 115 bullets into him. He was dead. But it was even after killing that person who abused him, there was so much anger. That's why I say the mad elephant offense. The anger of the elephant is very difficult to appease. It's a what to speak of, protecting a little garden. He will destroy the city. So Jarasandha was quite impressed by the strength of Kamsa, and he offered his daughters Asti and Prapti, and they became friends. And there was a huge dowry. Then Kamsa, he went to a place called Mahishmati city, and there were these powerful kings, the sons of King Mahishmati. And these kings were wrestlers: Chanura, Mushtika, Sal, Toshal, Kuta. You don't. And I think Kuta you don't hear too much about. You hear about him in the Bhagavatam and Garga Samhita. In Krishna book, it doesn't describe, but in the Bhagavatam and Garga Samhita describes that Krishna took him and tore his body into two pieces. And the Garga Samhita described that he threw one of the two pieces at the royal dais of Kamsa. Sorry, I broke. Sorry. This great violence is there in the Bhagavatam. So yeah, he threw Chanura. He stopped Mushtika with just one punch. Knocked and grabbed him by Ikuta. Threw him into the sky. Toshal grabbed and dragged, and then Toshal threw him 80 miles again. Then what did Kamsa do after that? He went and fought Dvivida for 20 days. Then he fought Keshi with one punch, rode him to Mount Mahendra. So he rode the Keshi demon, the horse demon, to Mount Mahendra. He lifted the mountain 100 times. And Parshuram appeared and said, You worm, you maggot, I will kill you. I hate Kshatriyas. And he said, Kamsa said, I'm not a Kshatriya, I'm a demon. And he prayed for a boon. He got the bow of Lord Vishnu. What else did he do? This is the bow that Vishnu was given to the Tripura city, the great demons that appeared in the bow of Vishnu gave for that. It was Lord Shiva was given that bow, but it was Vishnu's bow. And he said, whoever strings this bow is going to be quite powerful. So he strung it, and he plucked it 100 times very powerfully, and everybody was quite afraid. He said, whoever breaks this bow will kill you. Then he went and fought Aghasura, choked him, with each demon, with each wrestler, with each demonic being appearing in various forms. He says, I will fight you. If I win, you're my servant. If you win, I'm your servant. So then he fought Aghasura, choked him out. He fought Arista. Then he fought Narakasura. Actually, Narakasura, he became friends. He fought Pralamba, Dhanakasura, Trinavarta, threw him in outer space, made him fall down with blood and vomit. Bakasura, one punch, was swallowed, burned his throat. Sounds very familiar. Then Putana appeared and said, let's fight. He said, no, I fought your brother. You're my sister now. And so all of these personalities now became servants of Kamsa. They're all thoroughly defeated by the might of Kamsa. Yeah, Narakasura, demon of hell, accepted his feat, seeing the endless strength of Kamsa, made friendship with Kamsa and formed an alliance against the demigods. Shambhara, no fight, became friends. Vyoma, one fist fight. Banasura fought and then they became friends. Vatsasura, Kalayavana, all of these personalities. Then, after fighting all these demons, he went with them to Amaravati, the abode of Indra. He went to the abode of Indra, fought the demigods, stole the throne and the parasol. Indra struck Kamsa on the head with the sword. And it felt like a flower hitting an elephant. He had this benediction that the devas could not affect him. This was the Maruts shot him with various arrows. Yeah, and he won. He took their parasol and the throne and went back to earth. So understanding not only Krishna's strength, we can understand Kamsa's strength. We can maybe have a clearer understanding of the situation. So beginning with text number 6 now. Karindas tam abhidruta kainatara sagahit karad vigalita somum nihatya angrish alitaya aliyata. The Lord of Elephants charged Krishna and violently seized him with his trunk. But Krishna slipped away. He gave him a little bit of hope, and then he slipped away and struck him a blow and disappeared among his legs. Purport: Lord Krishna struck the elephant with his fists and then later disappeared among his legs. And he was using his nose to sniff him out because he couldn't see. The elephant has a very big body, but compared to his body, his eyes are quite small. And in the Indian culture, it describes that this is to protect him from excessive pride because his eyes are small and they're placed, very near his body. He cannot see his powerful, big, huge body. If he was able to see his body, he would become more proud. He cannot see so much behind him and everything. So he uses his nose. Sankudastam akshakshano grahana drishti shakeshavam param shrimshat pushkarena sa pasaha vinigrahagata. Infuriated at being unable to see Lord Keshava, the elephant sought him out with the sense of smell. Once again, Kuvalayapid seized the Lord with the end of his trunk, only to have the Lord forcefully free himself. Lord Krishna allowed the elephant to seize him so that the beast would become encouraged in fighting. Once Kuvalayapid had thus become proud, Lord Krishna again thwarted him with his superior potency. And the last verse, Puche pragrihati bhalam dhanusa pancha vimshatim vichakarsha yata nagham suparna eva lilaya. Then Lord Krishna grabbed the powerful Kuvalaya pit by the tail. Now this is an elephant. You can fight 10,000 elephants. He has the strength of 10,000 elephants. And Lord Krishna is just pulling him by the tail, playfully dragging him 25 bow lengths, easily as Garuda might drag a snake. Now, Garuda, we might also not understand his strength. That if you hear Padma Purana, you'll see Garuda's great might. He doesn't just Garuda eats elephants and massive, humongous tortoises. He is when he was born, he had quite a appetite and might. Yeah. You all know the story in the Bhagavad Gita where this little bird, his eggs are swollen up by the ocean, and the bird says to the ocean, "If you do not give back my eggs, I will drain you with my beak." And he starts to, and because of that great determination, that great determination, this is a story by Gaudapad, that Garuda appeared. And so similarly, if we have that vigilance and great determination in our spiritual life, we will also get the merciful glance of the Lord and get his assistance. So Garuda appeared and the ocean was frightened. This is, the ocean. So this is it. And so as easy as Garuda picks up a snake, might drag a snake, Krishna is just pulling this elephant for 50 feet or 100 feet, and the elephant was unable to even do anything about it. He was completely helpless. So they were fighting in this way. Now, one really interesting point is, so I mentioned that there are spoilers. There's a spoiler alert. The Bhagavatam, the Gita, the Rupanugas, the followers of Rupa Goswami, Srila Prabhupada, they give these spoiler alerts. They say, "Surprise, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead." They started off in that way. They give us the spoiler alert, and he's invincible. His senses can perform the objects of any other sense. He is Advaitam, Achutam, Anantam, Anadim, Anantarupam. So they describe this is spoiler. Lord Brahma is giving his spoiler alerts in the beginning of the Brahma Samhita. But there's interesting you'll find in the commentary on the first verse, the no spoiler, that once one understands the external pastime of Krishna and then also becomes immersed in the internal pastime of Krishna, the person becomes so immersed that even despite previous knowledge of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they will forget that. They will actually become immersed in the Leela so much that it's described in the purport of the first verse that Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, here, I will read it for you. Very interesting. He instigated the elephant to catch Krishna. This is the elephant trainer. The elephant is described to be like Yamaraj, who brings an end to life by the force of time. Kalantaka. However, Krishna is the master of time, which is stronger than the elephant. Thus, the elephant and his trainer could do no harm to Krishna. By using this phrase, Shukadev Goswami was comforting the fearful Parikshit Maharaj. So Parikshit Maharaj, he is Arjuna's grandson. He obviously knows that Krishna is going to survive this circumstance, and later, speak Bhagavad Gita, etc. But he is so immersed in the Leela that he is that spoiler alert is completely gone. There's no spoilers there. He is afraid for Krishna's safety, hearing this pastime, and just to appease and calm down some of his fear, Shukadeva Goswami uses the term that Krishna is Kalantaka, Kalantaka Yama, or he says that Krishna is the, here it says, using the phrase Kalantaka, that Krishna is the Lord of time. Therefore, there's no reason to fear. So you'll find often this happens with Parikshit Maharaj when he's hearing the Bhagavatam. He's so immersed in the Bhagavatam. He's so immersed. He's there in the Leela, in his mind and his heart, and he is afraid for Krishna's safety. So that's how we want to come to that point where we're so much enraptured by hearing about Krishna and his external pastimes, internal pastimes, that we are completely there when we hear it. We have to have this hunger. We have to eat the Bhagavatam. We have to eat and digest it. Digest it means to apply it. It's like you go to the temple and Bihari Lal, he gives you some nice apple crumble cake that was baked by his wife for the Harinam party. And they're, of course, doing some kind of sweet fast, so you can't... so he has a whole bunch of it for you because the brahmacharis weren't eating anything. True story. But say you have eaten up to here. You say one more bite, it's going to come out of my ears. I can't eat anything. And so oftentimes when we hear spiritual philosophy, we're like, oh, no, please, I'm full. I have had too much. I don't want to hear. And the reason is our digestion is weak. We're not applying it. So the exercise, you got to exercise, you get good digestion. So when you apply the principles of the Bhagavatam, then the digestion for more Bhagavatam increases and you can get a great appetite. Yes, give me more, give me more. This is nectar for the ears. But when we're not applying it, then a little bite, we feel, oh no, this is too much. I don't want to hear philosophy. I'm too full. So this is you see, this is the immersion of Parikshit Maharaj. So cool. He has to be comforted by Shukadeva Goswami. No, Krishna's okay. It's okay. He's not going to be harmed in this. No Krishnas were harmed in this pastime. So, yes. So this is the Srimad Bhagavatam, and this is Krishna himself, Bhagavat Purana. So Om Tat Sat, thanks a lot. Let's stop here, see if there's some reflections or questions.
Nitai Chan, thank you very much. We are very comforted to know that there were no Krishnas harmed in this pastimes. Wonderful class, thank you. Go ahead, Deepu.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Krishna does so many magnificent things. We witnessed something day before yesterday. Maybe not everyone might think this is so magnificent, but for myself, I found it very moving. There's a little old lady, Das's mother, in Fort Myers, Florida. He drove down there to be there because she was about to leave her body. So he put her on the phone with me, and she couldn't speak. She had tubes in her mouth, but she could make subverbal sounds. So I just had a moment or two to speak to her. I said, Joni, she went, ah, ah. It was an anger sound. And then she went, oh, oh, like a little child whimpering. And I was praying to Krishna, praying to Prabhupada. I said, Joni, she's a Christian lady. I said, Joni, think of Jesus. Jesus loves you. Think of Jesus. Jesus. Think of Jesus. And she went, oh, oh. It wasn't a big speech or anything, but she expressed anger and helplessness, and then a sigh of relief. Prabhupada's given us something wonderful. By Krishna's grace, we have a message, we have sanity, we have wisdom, we have the solution to all the problems in the world. And we don't have to, but we're called to be ready to give it to people in some form or another. And all I did was say, think of Jesus. Jesus loves you. And this sigh was just so moving. She just went, oh, oh. And then she left her body. Krishna, we have something wonderful to share, and let's do it. Anyway, maybe not as dramatic as dragging an elephant and throwing him 8 miles or anything like that, but another tribute to the Krishna's glory, that he reached out. He was an insignificant, unqualified person like myself to reach out to someone right before they left the world and relieve them by the holy name. Oh, glory to Prabhupada, Hare Krishna.
Bhima Prabhu.
Haribol. Yeah, Adi told me that story yesterday, and it reminded me of the importance that that we have levels of police, and of course, listen to Nityananda Chandra and his wonderful ability to repeat and tell us all the stories of Krishna's wonderful pastimes, which, if we simply surrender to our more innocent nature, becomes a great fascination and a great shelter and a great assurance that Krishna will surely take care of all our troubles, whether they be in the form of overt demons, or as Bhaktivinoda Thakur later on explained, that these demons are self-same doubts that are within ourselves, including concept. Try to destroy Krishna, to destroy God. Yes, do. And Krishna gives them what they're looking for. Good fight. Down. Universe.
We can't hear you, Bhima Prabhu. It's very choppy.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
No, devotees don't say shoot, they say Krishna.
Shoot. All right. Can you hear me now better?
Yes.
Okay. What I was saying is that Krishna, it seems, comes not only, whether it be to take on the demons directly, but he also comes in his name, whatever that name is, whether it be Christ, Christos, or Krishna, to someone at their time of death who are facing at that moment. we come to this as what everybody says. Many people who have dealt with near-death experiences, thousands of them telling the same story. You face your whole life at that moment. You go through this, and it's not a judgment. It's just a review. Like, what have you done, and what do you need to learn? And you move on. But at that moment, if you are reminded of some spark of faith that you have, as she did in Christ, that she is shelter, and remember promised of Christ, as we remember the promise of Krishna to protect us, to have no fear. He will offer us all protection from all the misdoings, misdeeds that we have done in this and previous lives, to simply surrender. So that was a wonderful opportunity for Krishna to come to Mathura, to rid the world of a very evil king, to that point where Krishna comes in his name, one of his many names, to rid the kingdom of our doubt, misgivings, at the time of our death. We all have Mathura in our hearts. We all have that gateway that Krishna and Balaram walk through. We all have that instinctive attraction, like the princesses who came to the edges of their porches to see Krishna and Balaram walking like young lions into their lives. It's such a wonderful treasure that we have been given, as Kadambakarna Maharaj was talking, some of his last words. Such a treasure, such wonderful stories, such wonderful devotees like Nityananda, Chandra, who can just ramble on all these wonderful stories, and we can remember that we never need to fear, no matter what's going on in the world. And that truly, and I'll end it here, I'm sorry to ramble, and that truly it is mankind and mankind's pride that is the mythology. We come and go like dust and shadows, like Rome, like the British Empire. All roads lead to Rome. The sun never sets on the British Empire. To the present day, fall of the United States, of the Western world, as we can see it happening right before our eyes. It's all shadows and dust. And that is the mythology. It'll be simply words in a book hundreds of years from now, but we'll always have God. We'll always have Krishna, and he'll always be there to take us home, where reality with a capital R truly exists. Thank you very much, Nityananda, Chandra, and Adi Purush Maharaj, for welling these thoughts within my heart about our class. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhima Prabhu. Thank you, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu. Wonderful class as always. It's such a violent chapter, but you drew so much nectar out of it and shared it with us. Would anyone else like to make a remark, a question, a comment, a point that you're taking with you? All right. So then we're going to wrap it up. We're wishing you a wonderful day. Remember Krishna. Krishna cannot be harmed, and so can't you. So that's a very good thing to take away. Kirtaniya, nice seeing you. Are those what books are those? Are those devotee books or records? Devotee books. Okay, good, wonderful. Okay, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.